welcome. It's August. It's bank holiday weekend, this weekend coming up, and the weather is going to be scrumptious. They've heard, well, told us about it. Anyway, who are they? We never know, do we? Anyway, let's get on to CeMAP and equity release, onto our Bootcamp live stream for you. I've got a number of preset questions which people have sent me through, but as always, please do type in any questions, and I'm happy to answer them as we go. Obviously, you can do that anytime you want to. Let's get cracking then with our first topic. Yeah, hi. Let's take a look at a little case study I've got for you, which was an interesting case study given to me by somebody on the Bootcamp, which was pretty cool, really, wasn't it? Think about it. Now, this particular case study was based upon a real case which he was working on in the brokerage that he's training in, and it shows you how a lot of the CeMAP stuff can be really relevant when it comes to giving advice. So here's our case study. What we've got really with our case study is we've got a client who owns a property already. They already own a property, and they've got a mortgage on that property of £100,000 outstanding, repayment mortgage. So that's the outstanding balance. Now the pad's worth about £600,000, so a nice gaff that. Obviously, if it's in London, it's probably a flat, isn't it? But there we go. Now, they're looking to buy a new property, and they found a rather luxurious, lovely new home. So let's put a luxurious home there. 2 chimneys, big door there, lots of bedrooms. They found this new pad to buy, which they've fallen in love with, which people do, don't they? And this one's priced at £925,000. So we're talking about a decent pile of bricks there, aren't we, at the end of the day? Now, the client, of course, wants to buy this property, but as always, they can't sell this one, so it probably is in London, isn't it? He's also, as a he and a she, by the way, he's also got a flat, which he owns, which he lived in before he met his partner. So he lived in this property for quite a while. In fact, he lived in it from 2010 to 2014, met his partner, fell in love, bought a place together, and everybody was happy. But what he did is he let the property out. So effectively, this property, this house, or this flat, I should say, is now what we like to call a buy-to-let. It's a let to buy. They've turned it around. And they call that a consumer buy-to-let. So there's the first sort of learning for you. A consumer buy-to-let property, it's a normal buy-to-let. It's usually something you stumble upon by accident. Now, this guy, of course, owned the house, thought the flat, lived in there, decided to move out, didn't want to sell it, so it becomes a consumer buy-to-let. The only big difference there is it's regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, falls under MCOGS. Doesn't make a huge amount of difference, but they call that a consumer buy-to-let. It's usually done by one person. Maybe they've inherited a property and remortgaged it, for example. That's a buy-to-let, a consumer buy-to-let. They've not done it on purpose. That's the whole point behind it. So there's the first piece of information. By the way, the flat's worth £250,000. Let's just squeeze that in for you. Now, the problem the client's got, of course, is borrowing money to buy this house. They've got plenty of income. Their salaried guys, over £100,000 each, so they're not short of income, which is great. But what they can't do, of course, is to buy it outright, because they've fallen in love with this property. So how do you buy it, and how do you... Well, my first answer to my client's question, or my contact really, was to do bridging. I said, look, it's an ideal bridging scenario. Ideal really, because the bridging company, whoever you use, and there's plenty of great companies out there, and you should as a broker get yourself linked in with bridging companies as well. Bridging allows you to buy the property outright. Now, there are going to be some implications, of course. Whoever buys this property, if he buys it, he's going to have to pay another 3% stamp duty land tax, because the revenue regard that as a second property. Now, he will get a refund on that one if he sells this property within 3 years. Because as you can appreciate, they're both going to be his main residence. That's going to be his new main residence. If he can flog that in 3 years, he'll get that 3% stamp duty refunded by the revenue. It's not money, yeah, 3% of £1 million. That's a lot of cash to fork out. So you've got to think about that as well. Now, the bridging will be ideal here, because what the company would do is they'd have a look at what equity we've got here. Now, there's 500,000 equity there. They'll probably do loan to value up to sort of 50-60%, something like that. They'll lend some money on that, so they'll raise a mortgage on that one effectively. They'll also look at this property, see how much they can borrow on that as well, loan to value, and they'll raise some bridging on that property. So effectively, they're securing their loan to the 2 properties. That's what they're doing effectively, and they're giving the client a lot of cash in order to buy this property outright. That's the whole point. Now, the good thing about bridging is it doesn't require monthly payments. Don't get me wrong, it's very expensive. But they look for an exit strategy. And normally what happens is you can pay all the monthly contribution, monthly interest, if you like, on exit. So when you sell that property eventually, and you mortgage this one properly, with a first charge mortgage, then you can repay the bridging finance and then repay the interest that's outstanding as well. So not too worried about monthly payments. Affordability doesn't really come into it, which is interesting, isn't it? So that's bridging, really. Now that would be open bridging because they haven't even sold this property yet. It's not even under offer. It's not exchange of contracts. If it's exchange, then it'll be closed bridging. That's open bridging. Quite expensive. Be careful with that one. Quite a few percentage above base rate as well. Now, my client was more interested in doing it another way. I said, what's that way? He said, remortgage. I said, well, okay, let's have a look at how we can do that. So let's squeeze that one down there, remortgage. Now, if we were to remortgage the property, what he wants to do is remortgage this place up to, say, 75% loan to value, which is quite easy to do. So probably raise another sort of £300,000 or £400,000 in order to help buy the property. So remortgage that one, get themselves a deposit, if you like, which they'll then put down on that property, and then get a proper mortgage on this property. So effectively, the client's got two mortgages: remortgage on this place, mortgage on this place. This provides a deposit on that one, and the client's happy. Now the problem, of course, with that one, you've got to look at affordability. The client will look at affordability, or the lender will. They need to look at how much money the client's got, so income. They'll take into account the client's got existing mortgage as well as a new mortgage. That will be taken into account. So it could be a bit tight, but my contact says that the client's got plenty of income. Now, the next question, of course, to him was, what about the existing property? What about the flat? Where does that come in? I said, well, that's not really going to feature because that's a buy-to-let. That lending that the lender has, there's a mortgage on there as well, that lending is based upon the tenant's ability to pay the money. The lending on this flat doesn't care at all about the client's income. It cares about the tenant's rent, the ability of that property to rent. And effectively, they're using the flat as security for the mortgage in its totality. So that would be pretty much left out, really. That would just be ignored. Now, if the client decided to sell that property, they could do that. If they did sell the property, there would be some capital gains tax to pay. Be careful with that one because there is principal private residence relief available on this one. PPR, principal private residence relief, because he did keep there for 4 years. In that situation, therefore, he had that as his main residence. Now, you need to Google that. I've got another video which covers that. In fact, the rules are changing next year, 2020, on this as well. Effectively, what it does is it gives you relief against the capital gains tax charge. Quite nice relief as well. For example, in the last 18 months of ownership, you don't take into account the capital gain that flat's had. So you work out the numbers, but it could reduce the CGT quite dramatically, which is really good as well. So that's pretty much the case study. What would you go for? Entirely up to you, of course. The remortgage is probably tidier. The remortgage is probably a lower interest rate, of course it is, because you're getting a normal mortgage on that one, a remortgage on this one, so it's probably sub 2% interest on this one, whereas the bridging is going to be 6 or so 7%. So you should look at that. The remortgage would be a nice tidy way of doing it. Quite like that idea. It depends if the client's got enough income, of course, but my contact assures me that he does, or they do, so that's probably my way of doing it. But it's a useful bridging case study. Hope you found that useful. There you go. So, what do you think of that then? What's your thinking? Give me comments, tell me what you think, and I'd be happy to take sort of ideas on that one as well. Always looking at, obviously the job itself is that you're a broker. You work out mortgages for people. You'll get situations like that all the time. Makes it interesting. Never easy. If it was an easy loan, they go to a high street lender, wouldn't they? Or go direct via the internet. Brokers are there for more complex cases or where somebody wants their hand held all the way through. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next topic. So, let's take a look at the topic of scams, financial scams. I'm taking a look at here. You know the type of thing where you get a phishing email. I've had a couple already this morning. I love looking at them as well. One of them was offering me, they said, the HMRC have got £10,000 ready for you as a tax rebate. Lovely. So click on this this link and you apply for your tax rebate. So bear in mind that the rebate won't be given to you for months' time. They don't contact us within a month. Obviously what they're doing, they're taking you to a website, which is a dodgy one. They collect all your data, your passcodes, etc., and steal your money, which is terrible. Now scams, of course, everyone knows about scams. We've all had them. You might have been affected by them. I know somebody that has been affected by them. Most of them are bloody awful, but some of them are very sophisticated and getting very, very clever as well. So be very wary of scams. Now, the issue is this, and the FCA, of course, are getting involved in this because the Financial Conduct Authority, of course, look after the public. They protect the public as one of their main principles, and they should do too. And they've done a really good job here. Now, the problem in the past is that if you've been scammed, you've lost money and your bank account's been, nicked, if you like, or whatever it is, banks have been able to refuse your money if the customer has been negligent or careless. So, for example, if you voluntarily given your password to somebody, then that's carelessness, that's negligence. And the banks can say, no, we're not refunding your money. And they've done this to some bad publicity over the last few years. So if the Nigerian prince, for example, wants you to help him transfer 36 million across the UK and wants £1,000 out of your money through BACS, through online systems, then the banks can refuse to refund you. Now, what's happened now, though, is the FCA tightened things up. They said, that's no good, can't do that anymore. So they've tightened things up. And what they've done now is they've said to the banks, look, we want you to prove that the customer was grossly incompetent or negligent, call it what you like. And that changes everything, because suddenly the bank has to prove that the customer was massively incompetent, completely idiotic, if you like. And that changes everything. And as a result of that, they reckon the banks are going to be paying out more compensation claims. So the banks are getting really good now at helping you. They're educating you and they're telling you about scams, and they're doing these extra checks as well when you make online payments. Now, the FCA have also helped out now by creating a new website called Scam Smart. Do you like that, do you? It's a lovely little name, scamsmart.com, which is a public website whereby if you think you've got a bit of a scam, you go on the website and it tells you whether it's a recognised scam or not. They've got a massive database of all the relevant scams, and the customer can check to see if their scam is legitimate or not. And I think that's a really good thing. So well done, FCA, doing a great job. I love the one about grossly incompetent. How you prove that, I don't know. But it will certainly help people to receive a bit more money if they've been duped. Duped very cleverly as well, as opposed to a Nigerian prince who wants to give you $50 million. Goodness gracious me. And you send him £1,000 or £2,000 to sort of cover his expenses whilst he's getting the money ready for you. But I suppose people are people, aren't they? Hey, hope that's been useful. Bye. There we go. So that's a little one there for you on scams. Somebody asked me about that one as well. A little update for you. We'll put that on the Bootcamp for you. As always, all these videos, we turn them into nice little clips and pop them on the Bootcamp and the relevant pages, and you can access them as well. Got a new platform coming up in the autumn for the Bootcamp. We'll move to a different platform, much more robust, a lot easier to use as well. So that's coming up for you a little bit later. Okay, I think then let's move on for any questions at all that we've got. Now, a couple of people last week asked me about the hypnotic selling stuff. They're really interested in it. So I thought we'd do a couple of ideas for you about hypnotic selling. I want to share those with you now and see what you think about this. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look at for you. I love all this topic, I really do. Selling persuasively. Let's talk about selling persuasively. We'll talk about selling here. Let's not worry about too much about the legality of it or anything like that. Selling is a good thing if you have ethics and morals and you sell a good product. And don't forget, we all do sell. So stop trying to change it to advising, I think it's selling at the end of the day. And persuasively. Now, the whole point about this particular tip for you is that people like to be led. And that's important. This is hypnotic stuff. People like to be led. Now, last year I was coming back from Dubai, and I was in the departure gate, a bit tired. And as I arrived at the departure gate, there was an official-looking guy, and he said, "Come this way, sir. Please pass through here." And I just went there. I just went with it, because he led me down where I needed to go, and I followed his instructions. Now, whether I was tired or not, I don't know. Now, that evening, I had a meal with my partner, and it was the first meal for a long time, and I was enjoying it very much. And we decided to watch some telly, I'd watch a film, couldn't get through to the Sky movies, so we phoned up Sky. And during the call, the young lady on the phone led me to sign up for the sports channel. She used the words, you'll be wanting the 3-month free sports channel, wouldn't you, Mr. Archer? It's a great idea to be able to watch the Premiership, isn't it, Mr. Archer? What she used there for me was what we call yes tags. Yes tags you put into a command. You'd like to have this sports channel, wouldn't you? Isn't it? Wouldn't it? These yes tags at the end of a statement lead you along. I like that. Now, whether it was the glass of wine I had at the time or the fact that I was tired that led me, I don't know. But I think she was very calm and relaxed about it. You'd like the 3 months watching sports, wouldn't you, Mr. Archer? You don't want to miss any Manchester United matches, would you, Mr. Archer? And that led me to it. Now, it's not wizardry. It's not sorcery. It's hypnotic selling. Now, if you sell a product, rather than just pitching it and doing the unusual thing, lead them to a successful conclusion. Lead them to where you want to take them. Lead them along the fact find. Lead them along the process that you're involved in now. Slowly and comfortably lead them to where you want to go. And that's the message, really. Maybe the Sky lady was lucky I was tired and a couple of glasses of wine. But I did quite like Sky Sports. But you don't need to let Shelley know about that, do we? Keep that one quiet. Bye. Okay, little tip there for you. Quite like that one. That's a little hypnotic selling technique for you. There you go. Hope everybody's well. As always, all good to see people on YouTube as well. Great to see you. We're going to be doing these a lot more moving forward. Next year we're going to do them weekly, twice weekly, lots of live streams, lots of new ideas for you, and we'll give you lots of information to help you. Going to do a downturn in the economy, so be careful of that one. You've got to sharpen up your act a bit now. We talk about selling a lot. You've got to sharpen up your act now because there's not so much business to go around, so you've got to work hard at it. That's the whole point behind a downturn, really. Keep in touch with your clients, keep in touch with your customers. Make sure you do lots of self-development during the downturn as well, and make sure your inner game is focused on success. That's really what you need when there's an economic downturn. Okay, let's take a look at another sales idea for you. Yeah, I got another one for you. I know you like this one. I can give this one the title, Help Me Please. Okay, we're talking here about hypnotic selling, hence I've got the pink t-shirt on today, polo shirt, to give you that hypnotic trance-like situation. Shh, shh, don't tell anybody about this one. This one's really cool. Don't you just love a secret? When you lower your voice and you shh, people really listen, don't they? So if you've got something really important to say to the client, sort of look around, hey, got an idea for you. People just glue you to it. It's, shh, got a secret. It works every time. Now that's a little bonus one for you. Now this one is the term help me. Now as a human being, we're DNA'd to help people. It's how the human race has existed over the years. So what I suggest you do is you use the phrase help me please whenever you want something. So if you're on the telephone, telephone-based advisor, and you need to get the client's name, address, date of birth for data protection purposes, use the phrase, oh, Mr. Brown, help me please for your name and address for data protection purposes. Help me please. Mr. Brown, can you help me please by providing your email address before we move on? It was a fact find you're about to do. Mr. Brown, help me along the way here because we're going to complete a fact find now to find out your situation for you. I mean, help me, Mr. Brown. Do let me know when you're ready to proceed. Give me a call. That really would help me as much as possible. Help me, please. And it clicks word, click word, gets the customer thinking they want to help you along the way. I use it, of course, whenever I want to get customers to do something for me. Could you help me, please? Has a magical ring to you. Gets them alerted. Useful tip. Very short and simple. That's it for me. Bye. There you go. Nice little tip there for you. Little short one there along the way. Yeah, have a think about this economic downturn. Brexit, Brexit doesn't make a difference. The fact is the whole world's grinding to a halt at the moment. Germany is going into recession, official recession. They're a manufacturing economy, export-led economy. Of course, the world trade disputes has caused their market to collapse. They're trying to rely on consumer spending, but the German nation don't spend, they save. In this country, we're being held up nicely now by consumers still spending quite happily, but the industry businesses have completely stopped. I mean, my business pipeline, I've got loads in the pipeline, but they're all at the bottom. They're all ready to go. They're all said to me, look, Paul, we're waiting. We'll wait till next year. And that's a sign. You've got this inverted yield curve on bonds. You might have read about that. What that means is that the government bonds which they issue are more expensive on the short term than they are on the long term, so the yield curve goes down. So over 10 years, the percentage yield is a lot lower than it is for 3 months, so it's going down. But normally, the longer you give money to somebody, the better interest rate you get. So all the signs are there, so be careful. So make yourself plan for this, that's the key. And over the next sort of couple of months into September, October, I'm going to be giving you a lot more ideas and tips and techniques to handle recessions, because I've been through 4 in my little life. Amazing, really. Okay, the first one I was only about 10, so it didn't really affect me so much. But my dad had a building business at the time, and the recession killed his business. So we did get affected by it. We did. So I've been through 4 recessions. I know how to handle them. So I'm going to give you ideas to help you along the way. Other than that, it's coming up to close of play time. I'm off on my hollybobs tomorrow, so I will be screening next week until the following week. So weather's looking good. Actually, great. The bank holiday weekend weather. Apparently, it's going to be the hottest bank holiday weekend on record. How cool is that? Normally it chucks down rain. So keep well, everybody, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.